You said Jack Nicolson, right? That feels like such a iconic series for me and a lot of people. I mean, he seems like a wild character. I've never photographed him before.
Jack Nicholson invited us to come to his house, which, as you know, never happens. Obviously, just him sitting on his bed in his bedroom would be a picture, you know, considering it's his own bedroom. You don't need to really do anything. We got stuck in the guest house, which wasn't very exciting. I tried to set up things and make things out of something that are really not that interesting with lighting. I didn't have many concepts. Because, you know, I assumed he wouldn't do anything. And then after about 2 hours, he shows up and he's wearing this red clown's nose. And I'm like, interesting.
That's kind of awesome.
And his publicist is like, Jack, what are you doing? He's like, what? I haven't, what do you mean? He pretended he's not wearing anything and sat down, and he told me it was his idea with the loop, you know, this famous picture that his mouth like smiling. He says, that was my idea, so now we're doing the clown's nose. Long story short, it took me a long time to get rid of the nose to do my close-up picture. So I have all these pictures of him with this clown's nose, and it's funny for a minute, but I knew, you know, in the end, a portrait of him, just him as he is, an honest portrait would be better than one of him wearing a red nose.
I'm Mark Seliger, and this is Capture.
In your landscapes, there's a very kind of haunting experience going on. This kind of reminded me of that great photograph of the family running through the Dust Bowl. Yeah. It's a kind of a nice atmosphere.
There's a film that I want to make about the American Civil War that's not really about the Civil War, it's about two boys. So I took that photograph as a marker for me of how I want my film to look. The extraordinary thing, I learned this from Carol Ballard, who made a movie called The Black Stallion. You know, you feel that you're on a remote beach in the middle of no place, but if I would have turned the camera just a little bit to the left, you would have seen the hotel that we were staying at. But you create this illusion with the camera of being someplace. I know that I can make a Civil War movie by focusing on certain places. I could film places in New York City, find angles of the Cooper Union where Abraham Lincoln made a speech over, you know, in the East Village, by putting it at a certain angle and recreating a moment. And this was encouraged by me as a filmmaker from Stanley Kubrick. You don't need all those trucks and all that equipment to make a film. What a film is using that motion picture camera and telling a story. The most important thing is the story. Then figuring out, where do I put the camera to tell that story? As you do when you're taking stills with your cameras. It's like, what is the story? How do I best capture this person's soul? What it is that I'm trying to illustrate with this photograph.
Well, and I think also about this landscape, which is different than, say, a portrait. Is there like an emotional experience for you in that photograph?
Yeah, there is, because that's what I'm trying to capture with this story about a boy who loves his uncle. And he discovers that his uncle isn't everything that he imagined, that the uncle is a deceitful, lying adult. You know, he loves his nephew. He's taught him how to shoot and ride horses and things like that. But what the boy starts to discover is that things aren't what they appear to be. It's like how we grow up loving a nation. We love America, we feel patriotic. And then we just start to discover things about our country that are kind of deceitful and horrible. The filmmaker David Lynch, I think he said it beautifully. He said, I'm not saying that there's a conspiracy or that America's responsible, but when did it become unpatriotic to ask questions? We can't just have blind patriotism.
Your Bodybuilders series, the transformation goes from femininity to just going into this other alien world.
An assistant of mine was very interested in bodybuilding, and I always thought it was kind of a sport that didn't interest me at all, but I went with him to a competition and for the first time saw like bodybuilders standing in front of me, and I was like, wow, that's what a human body can look like. It was just mind-boggling. I didn't anticipate that people could never look behind this like mask of extreme physical expression. Everybody just said, oh my God, that's freaky, that's crazy. These women argue that they're born with the exact same muscles as men. You know, who's to say that just men look strong and women should look weak, you know, so I have a lot of sympathy for them. Obviously, bodybuilding is not a healthy sport, and everything that comes with it is oftentimes very sad, you know, the drugs and
the doping.
The doping.
It's good that you can provoke conversation like that too, though, in a weird way. It kind of takes it to all different places. It allows a response.
My grandmother said that life is like a spinning top, and she said that there's 3 sides to it. There's physical, spiritual, and mental. And that so long as you keep those things in balance, physical, spiritual, and mental, you'll spin on center like that toy. But if you start doing one thing too much, it starts to wobble and life becomes like the Hopi Indian word, that Koyaanisqatsi, it becomes life out of balance. When I see that kind of bodybuilding, I feel like it's a life out of balance, too much physical and not enough mental and spiritual work being done to stay on point.
If you could only shoot one more subject in your life, who or what would it be?
If I could only take one photographic subject.
One last one.
One last one. Wow, that's such a powerful question. I think I'd like to photograph President Obama. You know, he's certainly one of the most powerful people in the world. You know, his influence is tremendous, and I think it'd just be extraordinary to sort of try to capture with my Rolleiflex 3.5 feet from his face.
Wouldn't you like to quit your job and live the life you've always dreamed of? You're really living the dream, I would imagine, the expat dream.
I feel more free here than I do in the States.
This is it, man. This is the life. Join me, Savannah Jane Buffett, as I follow Jameson Whitbeck, a native of Vermont who dreamt of building wooden boats, and after college did just that. It wasn't long before he moved his wife and kids down to the Virgin Islands to become a charter captain of his very own handcrafted catamaran.
First time we moved, we had, no money in the account.
1, 2, 3.
I think there's advantages and disadvantages wherever you are. It's just a trade-off, and you choose which ones you want to live with.
So this is what it's all about, right? You get to take your kids down to the beach.
Absolutely. Congratulations on making your life worth living.
Yes.